We do have Naray on the call, who is going to be translating if anyone is dialing in Spanish for today. And if we have others who join the meeting and need other translation, that's something that we'll definitely work on for future meetings. I thank everybody for being here today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Robin Milgram. My son, Ben, is in 3rd grade, normally at Manorhaven, but for now in the fully virtual learning platform. I wanted to talk a little bit today to the families of those who are currently in the fully virtual learning platform, to welcome everybody and to let you know about the purpose of this committee. The committee was started very, very recently with the change in the elementary fully virtual learning platform, and each school, each of the 5 elementary schools, has assembled a committee so that their students will remain connected to their home school. So the goal of this committee is for us to continue throughout the year, or for however long your child remains fully virtual, to continue to remain connected to Manorhaven in a variety of ways throughout the school year. So Dr. Cohen, I would love just to have a few words from you or any information from you first before we start talking about ways we can find to do this. Just to give everybody a background, I've been in touch with Dr. Cohen over the last couple of weeks. She is very committed as not only the Manorhaven administrator, but an administrator for 2nd and 3rd graders in the fully virtual platform, to keeping all students connected to Manorhaven, obviously, because the hope is that sooner than later, our students will be returning to their school, and the goal is to always keep them and their families connected to Manorhaven.
So first, let me thank everybody for your position, for taking on the role and responsibility that you have, for those of you who are a class parent. And it's just really nice to see us coming together for this purpose. I am totally committed to keeping our Manorhaven students connected to their friends back in the brick and mortar schools. And I know that because our school, through our PTA, has so many really wonderful events being planned, there are ways to keep connected. And speaking as a supervisor for grades 2 and 3, I just wanted to mention that I have been contacted by a few of the parents in 2nd grade through writing, and I am hearing the concern for additional help in grade 2, and I am working daily with our central administration to make sure that we do have a second adult in our 2nd grade classroom. So it looks very promising right now that we will have another paraprofessional to help. You know, we have plans, and I don't know if we're going to talk about this a little later, but we would really like to build community during recess time, and we would need to have a paraprofessional there to gather the children, supervise their recess time if they choose to participate, and do fun things where children get to talk and communicate and establish friendships with their with the friends in the virtual program. So we needed that second adult for that. So as soon as I brought it up and made suggestions on how we can make that happen, everybody was open to hear. And right now we found a way to do it without a cost involved with that. So I already reached out to the teacher. I spoke with Dr. Mioli, and we're just getting the ball rolling. We also have interviews scheduled for this afternoon to bring TAs into the kindergarten 1st and 3rd and 5th classroom. So we're looking for really good support for the program. So I just want to say, please reach out to me anytime. I know I've been hearing from 2nd and 3rd grade parents from the virtual program, but if there's anything that I can help you with as a Manorhaven, if you're from Manorhaven, I'm here for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cohen. So something that I just wanted to put out to you all, so you can kind of have information and start figuring out ways that you might like to or be able to help in terms of volunteering sometime, are ways that we can include all of the fully virtual students in as many school-wide activities as possible. So I've already been in contact with Jessica Malwani. Sorry, I should backtrack for a second. Jessica Malwani, who's the PTA president for Manorhaven, is on the call with us. So thank you, Jessica, for hosting the meeting and also for being so amenable to working with us over the last couple of weeks. And I've been talking with Jessica and with Dr. Cohen about school-wide activities that we will be able to continue to keep our students a part of. So one example that we've already been discussing is Cultural Studies Week, where those of you who have been before know that typically the Cultural Studies Week is a full week of curriculum within the school, and there are teachers in the fully virtual platform who may or may not be able to take part in that during the school time, during the school day. However, the cultural studies night that happens at Manorhaven every year is going to be happening virtually for all students this year, and our children will be able to participate, obviously, in the very same way that every Manorhaven student is participating. I know Dr. Cohen and Jess and Karen Swibel are also looking into ways that the fully virtual community can participate in the Manorhaven Boosterthon. So a lot of these school-wide activities that are on people's minds that our kids are normally a part of, there will definitely be ways and continue to be ways that are explored for our students to participate in those. And I'm going to have Jess talk in a couple minutes, and I don't know if there's other specifics that you might want to give, but additionally, we really need help from our fully virtual parent committee as well, because many of these activities are sponsored by the Manorhaven PTA and really run on volunteerism of parents. So we want to, to put it out to you now as early in the year as possible, so that if people have ideas, please always feel free to email me. And at this point, several emails have gone out to me, and I'm still working on getting some of the emails that I'm missing. But feel free, always email me if you have ideas, if you have thoughts about ways that we can connect our fully virtual students back to Manorhaven. I will always communicate those with Dr. Cohen and with Jess and Karen so that we can try to make this as successful as possible. If there's ever a question, I had some questions, for example, about like the fresh fruit drop-off or the Halloween candy drop-off. They are constantly working on ways, and sometimes it might not be explicitly stated in an email, though, we're communicating about that. But there's always a way for us to figure out, in most cases, a way for our families to participate. So anyone who dropped off candy this past week, thank you. I know Jess posted on the Manorhaven Facebook page, which if people have Facebook, we always invite families to follow, and that's a great place to find information. We all continue to get, if we have opted in, our Manorhaven emails and texts on a weekly basis. So people should really continue reading those emails and texts, even though our kids are not physically there. It's the best way to stay up to date on all the Manorhaven happenings. And I thank you, Jess and Karen and Dr. Cohen, for being so inclusive of the fully virtual committee, students, and continuing to include them in your messaging. So if people have been reading and following along, you've been seeing that a lot of the messaging is instructing fully virtual families, for example, with the Halloween candy, that there were bins outside and things like that. But again, feel free, if you have an idea, if you have something that you think hasn't been addressed, communicate it with me. I will always bring it back. We're also working on ways, as Dr. Cohen said, to connect our fully virtual students back to their grade levels, their classrooms. But we definitely need parent volunteers to help facilitate this. So one thing that we've been talking about, and again, I am more than happy to hear any suggestions. One way that we've been talking about doing this is during recess time, because that's really the easiest way to facilitate common time between the students, because even though teachers on different grade levels may have similar schedules, when there are other things happening, we can't always guarantee that every class has the same snack time or this or that. So for now, the easiest way to start making some of these connections is by facilitating lunchtime activities. And as Dr. Cohen intimated, once the TAs are hired for our virtual classrooms, it will be a great way to connect our students back to their grade levels. And really, it's going to be able to connect all of our students back to their elementary schools, not just Manorhaven students. But where we need your help as parents is brainstorming some activities or discussion groups to facilitate the groups within the fully virtual community and their classrooms. So for example, if I happen to also be the 3rd grade class liaison, so it's myself that I'm approaching, but at this point, again, information has gone out to every class about who your class liaison is. So Vicki, I'll use you as an example, I guess. Vicki, you're 5th, correct? Or are you kindergarten? I don't remember.
No, I'm the 5th class
Yes,
parent in the kindergarten. I'm very confused with the term, sorry.
okay. So Vicki is the 5th grade class liaison. So if you are a 5th grade parent and you have an activity that you would like to facilitate for 5th graders during recess, you'd approach Vicki and say, hey, I'd really like to run Jeopardy at 5th grade recess time. Can we figure out how to do this? And Vicki will, will let you know. And then we approach the teacher and the TA and let them know. And what will then happen is, well, we're going to have to figure this out collaboratively across the 5 elementary schools. But for example, if we say, well, Manorhaven's day is Monday, and we also have to then be cognizant of what platform we're using and how many students can fit on that platform. But we may say, okay, all Manorhaven 5th grade classes, even in school, are invited to join the fully virtual class for a 5th grade Jeopardy at whatever time their recess time is on Monday. And the virtual TA will be there to facilitate and kind of just make sure that all is going smoothly, that the chat is not being used, let's say, inappropriately or not being used at all. They'll kind of be the host of the meeting, and the parent will be there to facilitate the activity. So if it's Jess that wants to facilitate that activity, she will be on the screen asking the questions, calling on students, et cetera, and the TA will be there kind of just to help moderate and to help ensure that everything goes smoothly. But we feel that this would be a really effective way to connect the kids back to their classrooms. I've also gotten ideas from Manorhaven parents about potentially hosting a specific topic discussion group during recess. And again, these will not be mandatory. So if your fully virtual student is not interested in participating in Jeopardy that day, they just don't join the classroom. If a child in school is on indoor recess, they can decide, do they want to join on the Jeopardy, or do they prefer to play Legos in the classroom? It's not going to be a mandatory thing, but this is going to allow students in the fully virtual platform to continue to stay connected with their classmates and their grade level by interacting with them and and having recess time activities.
Yeah, and Robin, just to chime in there, just to say that this is also a great opportunity for parents, both in the virtual program and in the brick and mortar building, to work together. So, if you're a CPC for a classroom that's in the building, it's a great opportunity to bring the CPCs of every grade together to brainstorm ideas for creating these connections during the day, if it's possible.
Yes. So I think, crucial right now, obviously, the administrators are working on getting these TAs hired. That's a big piece of it. But in the interim, I'll jot up an email to you so that maybe that could be messaged out to the in-school CPCs as well. They could send that message along to their classes. And yes, we would be happy for any parent to facilitate, to volunteer to facilitate. And I will work with Jess and with Dr. Cohen in order to figure out how best to schedule this. And then obviously it's going to have to run through the larger umbrella FVLP organization so that this can also be offered to every school. So as I said, because there are 5 days in a week, it might be most effective to offer, Mondays for Manorhaven, Tuesdays for Daly, Wednesdays for Salem, and so on, just to avoid any technological glitches. And so that the group sizes don't get overwhelmingly large for either the parent or the TA to manage. Jess, one more thing. And then, one more thing that we really want to stay cognizant of is, even though we're fully virtual parents at the moment, we are always Manorhaven parents. And Manorhaven continues to want to have parent volunteers for all of their events. And as I said, our students will still be a part of even as long as they remain fully virtual, but something also to think about, ways that you will be able to help volunteer as a parent to make PTA activities, PTA sponsored activities, continue to run successfully. So there are specific events and activities throughout the year, and I'll turn it over to Jess in a second, but that maybe there are things that you might want to consider joining committees at Manorhaven, things like PARP or diversity inclusion, allergy awareness, fifth grade parents. Manorhaven would still love to have input, and I'm sure as I have a high school senior as well, we're still very much on hold in terms of what activities might be held at the end of the year to help honor these fifth graders. You can still remain connected to that fifth grade committee and help make plans and discussions about what is going on. So please always keep the Manorhaven PTA also in, very much at the forefront of ways that you're volunteering, because we are still very much a part of that community. So Jess, on that vein, we'd love to, hear a little bit from you.
Yeah, and Robin, thank you again. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for your collaboration and the work you're doing with Dr. Cohen to bring this together for our virtual students. The PTA really appreciates it, and also thank you to all of the virtual FVLP volunteers who are on the Zoom dialing in, whether you're a class liaison or a class parent, or simply interested in participating in the Manorhaven committee. Your time is really valuable. So thank you. Robin, I think you touched on a lot of the issues, a lot of the events that are on the horizon that the PTA could always use volunteers for. But again, just to reiterate, all of our students, whether they're at home, working virtually, or in the building, in the classroom, are Manorhaven students, and all of our families remain Manorhaven families. So these connections continue to be important, and we are all anticipating that these kids can be back in the classrooms as soon as possible. So I am personally hopeful that this is a temporary situation and that all of the students will be back in the building, if not in January, then next year, certainly. So maintaining these connections really, really is critical. A lot of the events you mentioned rely on volunteerism and parent support. So cultural studies, for sure, PARP, and then there are smaller events that happen throughout the year that really do a lot for community building. So, in the past, we've had bingo night or game night. There is going to be, just a heads up, a virtual bingo night coming up on December 13th, which is a Sunday evening. We hope that it will be a great family event for everybody to join, and a lot of fun. So that will be happening, typically in a typical year, and around February, we have a movie night. So I would also invite this committee to think about, as a committee, as a standing committee, is there a particular event or activity that you want to spearhead together, to say, we're the, Manorhaven FVLP committee, and we are running virtual movie night, whatever it is. That's just an example. But I think there are ways for the virtual parents to get together and have that community, and also create an opportunity and an experience that all students can benefit from. So I would invite this committee to think along those lines as well. Maybe it's not movie night, but something else that you think would be a great experience for our families. The PTA really is committed, and it's not simply because this year we're facing constraints of being virtual, but we're finding that the opportunities for people to come together are virtual. So the events that we've done to date have tended to be virtual events. We have our second family cooking workshop coming up this Saturday morning. It's a French family brunch workshop, if anybody is interested in. The last one was Spanish tapas night, which was super fun. So I encourage everybody, to the extent that you can, to the extent that it's possible, please do consider, joining those kinds of activities that the PTA is planning throughout the year. It's a great way to stay connected to other parents as well. I think that about covers it.
Thank you. So now I just wanted to open it up and see if there was anyone who had any kinds of ideas that they wanted to raise in terms of maintaining those connections, or ideas that of larger events like Jess suggested, that if we as the Manorhaven EVLP committee would like to spearhead and host and invite the Manorhaven community into, that's great too. So I don't know if anyone wants to unmute themselves, if there's any ideas floating around or any suggestions, we would really appreciate and welcome those.
I just unmuted myself. I hope that's okay. It's Maureen. I do have some good news to share from the for the fifth graders. Their teacher and principals gave them permission to leave during a block of time to join the rest of the Manorhaven fifth graders for a spirit day. So I'm sure the kids, as soon as they learn about it, will be looking forward to that. And of course, we're glad that the FVLP teachers are flexible and understand the importance of the children feeling those ties back to their home school. So more information to come, but thought that was good news to share.
That's great. Thank you. And thank you for helping facilitate that, Maureen. Anyone else?
I think the PTA is doing a good job including. I know that I appreciate even just seeing a notice on like the emails, like FVLP family is like it's inclusive. I know it means a lot to me. I'm sure it means a lot to others. So I think that we just need to keep on doing a good job keeping everyone included. I know I feel tied to Manorhaven, so that's good. Hopefully we keep it up.
Great. Neray, I don't know if there's anyone who's dialed in that has any questions.
No, not yet. It was hello everybody. It was a lady. Her name is Michelle, but she was just listening.
Okay.
I'm translating to see what she.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Cohen or Jess, I don't know if you have anything you want to add before we wrap.
Did we mention?
I would just put a pitch in again for everybody. If you have questions, if you have concerns, if you have issues, please do raise them with Robin. You can always feel free to CC me and Karen. We're very open, and our goal is, I think we're all pulling on the same rope here, and the collaboration is really key. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and we're always here for any questions or any concerns.
And did we mention anything about PARP? Because that's another event that's coming up that we would like to be inclusive and get everybody on board. And that's
yeah. So the PARP committee just kicked off. They're coming up with some great ideas and some great ideas for utilizing the technologies available to us to really bring everybody together in the school for this wonderful week of celebrating literacy. So I don't want to give too much away because I know they haven't really fleshed anything out yet. But the thinking is there, it's being done. We're thinking about integrating some new kinds of activities into the PARP week that really help us use the technology available to us.
One thing that I've seen, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but all authors seem to be doing virtual visits today. So I don't know if that's something that could be on the table where similar to the assembly that the kids recently invited into, all the kids, that kind of a thing. I don't know how many people were following Dan Gutman as an example during the pandemic, reading books on his Facebook, and I'm sure other authors were doing it too. But that might be a fun way to incorporate something.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I want to just thank again, Dr. Cohen and Jess and the class liaisons, and a big thank you to Neray for translating for us in Spanish this morning. And again, if anybody, even watching later on, has other languages that they would like to have translated, we can try to work on that for future meetings. And we really appreciate everyone's help, everyone's collaboration, everyone's inclusivity, and we look forward to a great year. I'll be in touch with future meetings, and in the interim, if you or anyone you know has ideas about how to start working on this lunchtime activity to tie the kids back to the school, I think that's going to be our first step as a committee to try to start facilitating these things. And as we said, we'll be reaching out to the Manorhaven parents as well. So I thank everybody. I really appreciate your time and your willingness to help get this moving as smoothly as possible.
And thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Robin.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.